Okay, we are live. Hello everyone, I'm Iron Phoenix and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. Now, just had a bit of a time getting this to work. Okay, so, when last we left off we were in December 1937, about to, well, obviously go over to 1938 because we're in December 1937. Long day. Not hasn't been, but you know. Right, so I've got things to... What? Demobilize? What? Do I have to do this thing? Replace strikes with widespread strikes. What? What? No one... Oh, it's because I put in the economy law of early mobilisation without having 15% war support, and I was at peace. Right, okay, so that's something that's going to have to change. I'm going to have to cost 50 to demobilise. Fine, we'll do that. We should probably do that indeed. Okay then, so anyway, welcome back where I'm just kind of basically proceeding through the game, fortifying Malta, and we're doing research, getting the new subs in, getting the Centurion class. Once I get the get this research, I'm going to actually build one of the Centurion classes because they're huge. And after all, we know from the Bismarck and Tirpitz that building huge ships really, you know, that's totally a war winner. Yes. It's quite interesting how few people have actually heard of Tirpitz and yes. Hold on, wait, no. So I have to hold on. I am going to develop Australia. Yeah, just you know, one of those things. You know, chatting to people that I know, and it's like, yeah, they might have heard of Bismarck, but they won't have heard of Tirpitz. You know, big famous German ships that were pretty useless, all in all, because you know they spent an awful lot of time and effort and money and resources building the things and maintaining them and fueling them, and end of the day, they just weren't really used for anything. Just trying to see if I've got anything for 1938. I do. Let's get the upgrade there. Yeah, because ultimately what happened was, let's see, do we have San Nazaire on here? I think it was down... somewhere around there anyway. I can't remember exactly where it is. It's down in the south of France somewhere. There was a dry dock that was for cruise ships originally. And it was the only dry dock that was large enough to deal with Tirpitz, to sort of maintain and refuel and repair Tirpitz. Otherwise, it would basically have to limp past. You know, if they sent it out here, it would, if it was damaged or anything, it would have to limp past United Kingdom. So obviously they wanted a port down here, and they had one until. It suffered a mysterious accident involving an old World War I American destroyer, I think, and about 200 commandos. You know, one of those bizarre accidents. And yeah, you know, it was blown up, it was destroyed, and or crippled to the point where you could not use it. The Germans did not repair it for the entirety of the war, and as a result, the Tirpitz just kind of sat up here somewhere, and although it was kind of used as a bit of a threat for the escorts that were travelling over to Russia. I might actually start getting some signal companies up, actually. It just, in the end, both Tirpitz and Bismarck met a fairly fateful end at the hands of the Air Force and the Navy, and all that time and effort, researching it, building it, all those resources put into it to build and maintain them, completely wasted. But that was, I believe, one of the biggest pitfalls of the German army of that era, that Hitler just got obsessed with these big, powerful weapons that ultimately didn't do very much. There was the supergun that I think there's a photo of the supergun at Paris, and it was pretty much just sort of just a huge railway gun or something. He went one further and tried to build a battery of, I think it was about 50 fixed emplacement artillery cannons in France, on the coast of France. The idea being that they could just use that to shell London with. But there are several problems with big fixed emplacement artillery cannons. One of the things is you can't aim it or move it. So their only target would have been London. They wouldn't have been able to pivot them up and down. They were fixed and they were huge. And all in all, what happened was the Americans had spotted that the Germans were building something, so they bombed it into oblivion. And it was only when D-Day happened did they actually go into the area and realise that he was building all these artillery cannons. Right, I'm going to do... Probably not actually going to get the naval guy yet. Aircraft design would be probably quite useful. These will give little bonuses to our military as well as just research. At the moment I'm thinking research, but I'm also thinking what's going to be useful later on, and I think fighters is going to be the most useful thing later on to get air superiority. Heavy fighters and tactical bombers, maybe, but that only boosts reliability. I'm going to go for Supermarine, who of course brought us the Spitfire eventually, which was, it was a nice aircraft. Good for its sort of good. Well, it's one of those cases of very, very good for its time, and apparently it sort of generated this this idea that that when the German pilots got shot down, it was always to a Spitfire. It was never to a Hurricane, even though it was to a Hurricane in quite a lot of circumstances. Hurricanes were perfectly able to shoot down German pilots in the Messerschmitts. When they didn't accidentally land in England thinking that they were in Germany. There were a few German aircraft that I think it was over here actually, this sort of little stretch of water here. They'd been off, bombing, Liverpool and Manchester and all that over there. And then when they flew back to Germany, because they basically got lost. They didn't really know where they were, but they thought that they were at least in France, and so they saw a landing field and landed at it. They'd made it about there. And as a result, there were a load of top of the range fighters that were captured completely by chance because the aircraft just landed at the wrong airport. They landed in the UK as opposed to in France because they'd got lost. But a few of them did sort of notice that actually there was something horribly wrong after they'd landed, and did quite a lot of work to get rid of documentation and the like, but others, no, they got out of their aircraft and then were promptly arrested. But generally, the British were a lot better at scuttling their aircraft. I probably should get some radar in now. Because there were some night fighters, I think some night fighters and some night bombers that were fitted with radar, and of course we didn't really want to give that technology over to the Germans should the aircraft be shot down. So they were basically under orders that if your plane goes down, make sure it goes down properly, and if there's anything left to survive, you make sure that nothing's left, basically. Anyway, we're just developing everything. I can't do that yet. Develop South Africa, yeah, go. Also, we should probably have a look at our construction. Our construction is going okay, actually. I will, just while it's ticking along, grab a couple of oil refineries, or more oil refineries. I really don't want to run out of oil in the midst of war, so. And nothing's really happened yet, all in all. It's just sort of time ticks on. I think, oh wait a minute, which is the demilitarized zone. I think they've taken the demilitarized zone, so the ambitions are growing, but for the moment, time is just sort of ticking on. They haven't really done anything potentially what we would consider to be bad at the moment. They haven't invaded anyone. They've taken the demilitarized zone that was along there, but at this point it's just a case of they can't be doing anything too bad, right? Yeah. How people forget. Right, I should also check my recruitment. Oh, actually, yeah, no, we're getting some units trained. I will just talk quickly about this system, actually, while I just set up another. Let's get some logistics up. So, when we do recruit and deploy, what you might notice is that I might be deploying line instantly. Certainly later on when I'm panicking a bit, when I've got invasions going on, I might just be throwing units out. If I do that, they get basically thrown out as green troops, but if I let the bar fill all the way up, they become trained, and yeah, it's just a little bit more of experience for them. Yeah, a few days and I'll start getting units out, which will be good. And they're instantly being equipped, which is excellent. That will change. Actually, that may change now because I can edit my infantry division, which is what I want to do. And I can't add. I can add some anti-tank. Anti-tank would be very useful for the infantry to have. All in all, artillery would also be very useful. I think they've got they've got some support artillery and they've got an engineer company. I'm going to add some artillery to my units, and I'm going to save that. Essentially, you've got 3 types of experience in this game. 3 types. You've got Army, Navy, and Air. Navy and Air are slightly different to Army experience. Army experience is used to modify these templates and to create more and generate Army templates that recruitment can use. However, Navy and Air is used to create variants of units, so improving their abilities in combat. I'm just going to continue with all my developments, because developing these places will be useful. Now, I'm thinking I might want that guy. Basically mean that my political power is going to be improved by stability and by having that guy. So I'll generate political power faster, and that would be very useful in an event that comes up in the United Kingdom. There's a change in the royal power, and a particularly unliked king comes into power, and you instantly go down a huge amount of political power. So anyway, right, so yeah, let's continue doing that one. As for this, let's get the computing machine in, and then we'll get radar now. And I can't do any of that yet. I should also note at this point, I can research things before their time. The downside is that they will take longer because you are, in the case of atomic research, I could start doing atomic research now if I wanted to. But it would be slower because I haven't reached 1940 yet. I'm not at a technological point in history where I can really understand what atomic research will actually do for me. In a similar vein, I can do air. I could, if I had it unlocked, I could research jet engines. For now, we're just kind of sitting here and. I could institute press censorship. That will be not great. Yeah, I'll do that. 60 days for that. And my construction. Okay, Japan. Okay, war. Lots of war has just started. Oh God, where are they? China and Japan have just started at it. So that will be not exactly one to watch. Oh God, lots of things. Right, okay, let's deal with that. Russia has declared war on what? Must be. There's basically a whole load of wars that are now going on. So we should probably fortify East Asia because the war may even start getting there actually. I can't do anything in British Raj. It's one of those countries which we've got things for, but we can't actually do anything with those units. But we can. Just make sure we're vaguely prepared for what's about to happen. Very tempted to move some units, actually. I'm going to take these units here and assign them to an army. Thank you. And I'm going to move those down to Africa. Just a small group of units, move them down to Africa while it's reasonably chill. Actually, moving them down to Malta would be the better idea, because then I can just send them wherever they're needed. So yeah, just a unit of six units, and yeah, move them down to Malta. And now I want to move them down to here. So they'll just get on convoys or whatever, and they'll just move down there. Excellent. Of course, we don't really need to worry about Gibraltar. Spain. Okay. began hotting up. Spain remains neutral throughout the war, even though it's there is a little bit of spycraft going on from both sides in Spain. So, Man Who Never Was, Operation Mincemeat was done in Spain because we knew that there were basically enemy agents working in Spain that would hopefully get the information that we needed them to get over into Germany. That almost failed because what a time for the Spanish to grow a backbone and actually prevent the person that we needed to see the body and the documents. They actually prevented him from seeing it, and so it was just this ridiculous sort of thing of we need these papers to end up in German hands so that they actually move their troops from Sicily. Germany and Italy had a load of troops in Sicily. We needed to take Sicily so that we could get easy access to mainland Italy. But the way that you do it is you find a body that is useful, and you dress it in a naval officer's uniform. You chain a suitcase containing documentation in that says that you are going to be attacking Italy. There's a letter to a fellow general to say that you are going to be attacking, Italy, and then you drop it in the water with all the tide and everything set up so that it washes onto Spanish soil, and then you hope the message gets through. You hope everybody just believes that it was just sort of this accident and these papers have now ended up in German hands. I'm going to do that one. And eventually it went off. The little bit of spycraft down there did actually happen. Italy and Germany moved its troops off Sicily, and Britain then attacked Sicily, invaded, and took it over, and then used it as a landing point. But Belmont Road, yep, help them out as much as possible. And by extension, it helps us out. We've also apparently got a research slot that I haven't used. Okay, let's just get the Halifax up. Thank you. And I've also got a modified government to do. Theorist might be an idea. Land doctrine. Let's get that one up. So we're slowly filling out our political side of things. Still under Neville Chamberlain, of course. And so time ticks on. Oh, right, aircraft done. Bristol Blenheim, which is our heavy fighter of the era. I don't know very much about it at all, but let's get the military police in. And yeah, I should note, so later on, one of the things that I will be wanting to do with the infantry division is actually adding tanks. You may think that that's a bit odd. Not really. Not in the same sense. So Britain, well, pretty much every country has now moved away from World War II doctrine, where you have tanks that occupy different roles. Now you generally have your main battle tank, which is a multi-purpose tank for all kinds of things, and usually they'll sort of we'll both get that. Okay, so we'll lose 200 political power if we do that. Or we just say, hey, well, historically it's that. We basically gave Czech Republic I'm going to do that. I mean, let's be a little bit historic there. We can't do anything about it anyway, ultimately. So we'll go down the historic route. Yeah, so Germany basically said, yeah, we want, this area in Czechoslovakia, which has a considerable German minority. And the world basically said, yeah, you can have that. And as a result, they thought, well, yeah, we've given that off to Germany, and they can have that land, and all's good, right? Yeah, that went interestingly. But yeah, no. So yeah, the whole tank thing. Yeah. So Britain and America, and well, pretty much at this point in time, you have tanks that fulfill very, very specific roles. You build a tank to do something, whereas in the modern era, you have a main battle tank, which is good for everything, and you generally just switch the ammunition types over to. If you want a tank that can destroy bunkers, you fit it with Hesh ammunition. But back in the day, if you wanted a tank to destroy bunkers, you would either use something like a Churchill Crocodile, which had the flamethrower fitting, or you went for something maybe like a Tortoise, which was a breakout tank, which never actually got built in the end, but it did get prototyped, and there is one, I think, in Bovington. It's huge, like properly huge. I'm gonna beef up my radar, and as I'm doing that, let's get a smashing of military factories. Let's also get where is it? Radar. In Wales as well. So yeah, so at some point when we get the heavier tanks, what were basically called infantry tanks because they moved up with the infantry. They were slow, but that they weren't meant to be fast tanks. They were basically meant to be brawlers. That's pretty much the. I'm going to actually start with that, getting ourselves ready for war now. So the Churchill, is a brawler. It's slow. It's got a reasonable gun on it. It's not really for taking on other heavier tanks. That's the role of the tank destroyers. That's what I mean by having a whole sort of network of different tanks for very, very specific roles. And then you have things like the Crusader and the Cromwell, and later on things like the Meteor and the Comet, which were good sort of all-rounders, I guess. I guess that's what eventually became the main battle tank. They were fast, they had reasonable armour, and they had reasonable guns on them as well. They weren't necessarily the best guns, and they weren't necessarily the best armour or the best speed, but they were just very, very good all-rounder tanks. And generally things like the Cromwell, it was fast. The Cromwell was extremely fast for its tonnage, but generally it was sort of more of an awful lot of those tanks. It was more a case of you used your speed instead of your armor. I'll do the ship designer. Yeah, I guess. Naval research. Yeah. I'll bump up my naval research speed as well. Oh, actually, because I've currently got trade with oil, but I probably don't need to. Yeah. Well, let's just push on. At some point, we'll hit war. Now in 1939. This is a little bit later. I think usually I go for protecting Czechoslovakia, and war starts an awful lot quicker. But at the moment, Germany's happy and Italy's happy, and just the whole world is basically happy, apart from some areas of Czechoslovakia. And we now have a Halifax. We should probably start building Halifaxes, actually. Right, so we are now in 1939. Let's get more of that. Just pouring the research time into stuff to allow us to build things, essentially. Production is where I want to go. I would very much like to get some Halifaxes done. And more military factories. Yeah, we will have. Oh, yeah, no, this is the point where I say no, we don't want these. So these are basically outdated planes. So the best place to use them. Let's not use the air map because I need to find the best place to use them. I just usually end up putting them down in like literally the middle of nowhere. So yeah, down in Malta. Well, we've got a load of gladiators, so let's just move all the gladiators over to Malta, and suddenly it's got 489 planes, which are all essentially obsolete at this point. And yeah, let's put the bombers down here as well, because we're going to need these guys around, and we can move them around. But for the moment, yeah, just sticking 600 planes down in Malta isn't actually that bad, I don't think, because ultimately those planes are obsolete. So let's stick them up against the Italians, because they are also using some fairly obsolete hardware. They don't really have tanks. They're not. When Italy joined the war, they were not militarized, or so they weren't very industrialized either. And as a result, their tanks that roll off are tankettes, small 1, maybe 2 person tanks, which is why the slightly older the Matildas, basically the Matilda 2s, do very well against them, because although technically the Matilda at that point is a very old tank, compared to what the Italians are fielding, it's actually very good. So and there's an awful lot of that sort of goes on. Ooh, yeah, let's do that. Now build me a whole load of anti-air for free, essentially. Oh, we've got military police. See if there's. I probably should do that one because they're going to. That's going to help the infantry. And how's my recruitment going? Okay-ish. I might add. Got loads of men. Add another 3 units there, and let's also train a motorised division down in Cornwall. Oh, for goodness sake! Down in Cornwall. Let's do 2 units of that as well. They are going to want some. Oh God! Hold on. Too many more. Right. So Poland. Yeah, Germany and Poland. Yes. Okay, hold on. I've got suddenly got loads of things to deal with. Right, so I need a motorised K5 for those units. They want me to modify my Chief of Army would be good. Division Speed, Division Attack, Division Defence would be useful. I've got 2 free military factories, so let's do one in there and one in there. Okay, the justification of war goals against us. Okay, that's fine. So that was all the research done, and well, now that we're at war as well. Yeah, we should have gone back to military economy. I forgot about that. We'll do that next turn. Right, okay, so now we are at war. I should probably assist France. Let's go up there. What I want you to do is patrol the eastern northern sea. And I want you to patrol that one. And we need to sort out our air superiority. This is the point where things get interesting. Right, so we've got a load of gladiators, so we can get those up. And these are going to be doing air superiority. These ones are also going to be doing air superiority, but they don't have a huge amount of range. Sorry, what was that? That's the Hurricanes, 96 Hurricanes. Let's get them up as well and do them with air superiority as well. Yeah. And I want them to be going into Western Germany to do strategic bombing. Thank you. Right, so they are now attacking that. We do need to get our troops down there. And I have all these troops down here. Italy haven't joined yet. Right, yes, Italy haven't actually joined yet. They will. And when they do, we're going to be having some fun, but no, for the moment they haven't actually joined yet, so we can't do anything. I will want to take this land as quickly as possible, specifically taking that port. Let's patrol that. Okay, so things are continuing on, I guess. Once they've landed, we can move them into position. Down here, I think. And it might be an idea to just move these guys down to our ports. And where's the British unit? I say unit, I've got 7 divisions just moving down there. This one, construction down, and yeah, those would be done July 21st July. Okay. Oh, things are going on. No, we're not. Father's got so many troops. Oh, we've got another thing. Okay. Oh. We need to go down that one to get our extra research slot. While we wait for Germany to attack. Oh, there we go. Poland has fallen. Yeah. So if I just switch over to that one, how do you see the Humber force? Too little about that region, so let's patrol it. Let's patrol that. And we've got more factories. Good. I'm going to need them desperately. Start getting weapons. I'm going to build some more military factories, I think. Just a few up here. And maybe can I do some over here? Yeah, I've got all this space, may as well use it. North Sea and Eastern Sea, but I'm doing Oh, we've got tools. 1939. I can actually get the next. Yeah. Oh yeah. So we're going down this one. Yeah. Right. Yeah, everything's still up. I think we're still. Yeah, we're still good. Don't know what happened there. Just dropped out. But then again, as I said last night, I'm still running this on copper cable, essentially. The old way of doing things. It's not quite 56k, but those were the days. Nowadays, getting on the internet is so easy. You just basically set your computer, you double click the Internet Explorer or whatever it is that you use, Firefox, Chrome, whatever, and the internet just sort of happens. It's there. It's there all the time. Back in my day, you either used the phone or you used the internet. And for us, the internet was a very long cable that trailed all the way through 2 rooms to get to the phone socket on this wireless technology. And yeah, so you would like connect up the modem, and then you would double click on your Netscape icon, and the internet browser was also the tool that you used to connect to the internet. And then it would make that sound, and then the internet would be. And yeah, web pages would basically be very simple things. You used text on your web pages, mainly because loading photos would take all week. So photos were rare. Basic pictures, basic imagery, very, very sort of low resolution stuff. Oh, they were the days. You had to work for the internet back then. It was like back in the 80s when if you wanted to get muscles, you didn't go to the gym, you went for a drive, because there was no such thing as power steering. And I have once I once drove my car without power steering. I got to the end of the drive, turned it off, turned it on again, and then power steering started working again. Yes, cars are like computers. You can turn them off and turn them back on again. Them was the days. I have even more factories. Excellent. Let's get some more tactical bombers. We're going to need them. We're going to need everything. I'm going to also just tweak this a little bit, so I've got Matildas being made. I've got divisions being pumped out. I need Italy to join in the war. I bet it needs air superiority. What are these? Yeah. Let's do some what's this for? Naval strikes. Port strikes. Can't do port strikes. Tactical bombers, however, could also do port strikes. And what's their range? Oh, they've got huge range. They're going to go up to northwest Germany, and they are going to be doing some port strikes. I got really into Satisfactory this weekend as well, because they've got an update coming out. which I will be very interested to play around with. So obviously I had to start a new map, new everything, and my factory is it's getting interesting. I have to say, I got very, very lost on the map today and ended up, in some very weird sort of like poison clouds and weird alien beasties, and it was fantastic actually. Just sort of driving through this map that's been handcrafted, and nothing's been procedurally generated. It's all been handcrafted by one of their level designers who. Yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible map, and it's a real gem to kind of think that actually in games design these days, so much is procedurally generated, and you lose a certain level of, I guess it's the human factor. You're basically telling a robot, this is what you do, and as a result, the robot literally just creates what it's told to. When you have a person doing it, it's just easier, so much easier. Soviet Union has declared war on Germany, so that war is now happening. This war is still very much Cold War, as it turns out. Nobody is really... Well, there's an awful lot of posturing going on, but there's no actual war yet. They're going to be surprised when my... Italy has joined the Axis. Excellent. I can start setting up these guys. All in the same army. Naval invasion order from there over to Messina. So Eastern Northern Sea. That's fine. We can sort that out, so I'm sure. Eastern Northern it's because of that. What I need to do is I need to change that naval invasion order so it goes in. No, goes in. Hold on, for goodness sake, naval invasion order. Oh, for goodness sake. This naval invasion order needs to go from there to there. What are you doing? Go from there to... Naval invasion order. Oh god. How do I delete? Right. This naval invasion order. Jeez. Yes, there we go. Right, so it's just this ocean. We need to get air superiority. With that, and then this will be doing any naval strikes, and I had some ships, didn't I? Select that one, and you're going to be going up to here and doing patrols. Yep. That's fine. Right, now that that's sorted out, let's see what else we've got to do. I think we'll just go on ahead. Research, yeah. That one's almost done. That will speed up production, I think. We're not doing too badly. The world is basically in this sort of locked in this Cold War right now, with nobody really attacking one another. There's an awful lot of sort of battle lines being drawn, but I think maybe next week we'll probably start seeing some action over here. And I think at the next autosave, when it pops up, I will end the episode because it's coming up to the hour anyway. And I've run out of squash. So. Oh, come on. Do your autosave. Construction. Okay, we'll get the next research on. Uh, 1939. Can I do? Yeah, I can get the Crusader. I'll get the Crusader up. That would be a good tank to... no, not yet. I mean, we could get start getting the Independence into... Actually, that might not be a bad idea. In the... edit these and get them some... Oh, I would need 25 to give them their... let's get some new radars up. Anti-air in general. And oil, we've just run out of oil as well, which doesn't help hugely. Let's just put another one into there. I think this saves every... hold on. November 1939 was the last one. I'll just go ahead until we get to the next autosave. There we go. Right, so I am pausing this here. So with that, maybe next week, next Monday, because I want to keep